Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to Jim's 5 a.m. Club. And this morning I come to you from wharf number 3. Wharf number 3, and we've got the fresh water here preparing to push off shortly on its journey across to Manly. And today I'll do a story. I think I'll just tell you a story, and just do something like a story because I'm just feeling a bit cheeky. A number of years ago, a friend of mine, Bill Carragunis, was telling me about a story, and he had me crying with laughter. But it's a story which has a lot of truth in it in terms of human behaviour. Young Billy, back in the days, had a Ferrari that he did up and put up for sale, and he told me about a situation, an account whereby a fellow turned up to buy his Ferrari, and like everything, Billy had a beautiful Ferrari. It was red, and I really don't understand why people would buy a Ferrari other than red. The other day I was coming back from Bronte, where I went for a swim, and there was this latest model Ferrari there, and it was a grey colour. And I just scratched my head and I said, why would you waste your money buying a Ferrari which was not red? I've seen them yellow, and I've seen them black, and I've seen them white. But from my perspective, if you're going to get a Ferrari, if you get a sports car, you buy a Ferrari and you buy it red. Just like my Uncle George did when he bought my Auntie Frida the Ferrari back in 1974. You've got to go the whole hog. You can't just dabble and muck around. If you're going to buy a Ferrari, you got to show off, and you got to show off to the maximum ability. So Billy had his Ferrari up for sale. He advertised it, and this fellow turned up, an elderly gentleman, and started bargaining with Billy, saying, look, I'm not going to give you, I'll just pick a number because I forget how much you were selling it for, but it was a long time ago, but let's just pick a number anyway. Billy had it advertised to say $40,000, and the fellow turned up with a wad of cash, and he said, I'll offer you 25 for it, cash. And Billy, who's one of the best negotiators that I know, is an absolute champ when it comes to cutting deals and playing the purchaser and getting the best deal or the best price possible. He said to the guy, mate, the price is $40,000. You've come over here. You're taking my time, and we're basically wasting each other's time. Anyway, the guy started, saying, well, there's this wrong with the car and that wrong with the car, and just trying to gain some leverage over Bill. And Bill said to him, mate, obviously you don't know what a Ferrari is, and to tell you the truth, based on your age and your appearance, you're probably better off buying a Rolls Royce or an older man's car, because a Ferrari is a young man's car. It's a car for an enthusiast, and it's something which will change your life. So if you're looking to spend less, you're better off going and buying an older Rolls Royce or an older model Mercedes, because that'd probably suit you better. So Billy was very, very clever. He was a clever man, and he was turning the situation around, and he was playing reverse psychology on this guy who had come to break his balls and try and buy his car for a huge discount, of which Billy is never a party to. When Billy sells, he sells at the top price. Otherwise, he'll just keep holding until the right buyer comes along. So Billy reminded him, he says, mate, this car's not for you. This is for a younger person, a younger man, somebody who's sportier in their appearance and sportier in their demeanour. And for a tifty, he used the Greek word tifty. And mate, the fellow left, and within 5 minutes of him driving away, he called Billy on the mobile and he says, mate, I want that car and I want to pay full price for it. I'm coming over to pick it up. And Billy said, it's up to you, mate. The car's here, ready and available for you. Bring your money, bring your details, and we'll do the exchange. So that's an example. That's an example of how to negotiate. Billy's hard-nosed when it comes to negotiating, and I've learnt a lot over the years. And he's a fun person to be with. He's got a lot of fun stories, and as I said, I've learnt a lot. But it's amazing. It's amazing that Ferraris and sports cars like that tend to attract a certain type of person. You know, when I was young, I used to think that Ferraris were for celebrities and for people who were for young, vibrant, and absolutely cool. But and I was naive. I was naive to think that these cars were for the rich and famous. But it's only over the past 20 or 30 years that I've actually realised whenever I see a Ferrari go past, I look at the driver, and they're usually old, bald and fat. They're accountants and they're experiencing midlife crisis, and it really doesn't, it's not all that appealing. And I say to myself, had Pininfarina or the designers of Ferrari actually seen who actually drives their cars, they'd be rolling in their graves, because the designers no doubt would have had in their mind that these cars would be driven by the celebrities of Hollywood, the presidents of nations, rock and roll stars, and people who would absolutely be suited to these sort of vehicles. But in actual fact, a lot of the times these vehicles are driven by people who are looking for compensation, for something to compensate what they're lacking in their lives. So what I do now actually is, whenever I hear or see a Ferrari driving up the street, I just turn my back and don't even bother looking at who's driving it, because as I said, I gave up years ago, and very rarely now do you see a sports car with a sports person in it. Which brings me to another topic. You know, rather than own a Ferrari, rather than have a Ferrari just sitting in your driveway, you know, take some time to be a Ferrari. Look after yourself, be active, be physical, and look the part, as opposed to having the car define you. You know, you define the car that you drive through your energy levels, through your ability to be a presence wherever you go. Because driving a car which says I have arrived, and then getting out of that car and being an old middle-aged person who doesn't fit the mold is a challenge, and a bit of a laughing point for many people. Anyway, enough for me for today, but thank you very much for joining me on Jim's 5am Club. And as we said before, you know, let's Let's finish off with a positive affirmation. I'm alive, I am well, and I feel absolutely great. To my friends and family, stay connected, stay relevant, and most importantly, don't rely on assets to define you, because you're bigger than any Ferrari, you're bigger than any Porsche, you're bigger than any Rolls Royce, you're bigger than any postcode in Sydney. You're unique, you're one of a kind, and there's nobody else bar you. So spend more time investing in yourself, investing in your personal development, investing in your relationships and your integrity, and be more than just a car. And if you're going to buy a Ferrari, make sure you buy a red one, because any car other than a red Ferrari, or any colour other than a red in a Ferrari, is just a fake. So take care, and until tomorrow, I look forward to catching up with you and chatting with you again on Jim's 5 a.m. Club. Stay safe. Kita tapume. Let's continue to walk and talk, to go on voltas, and to share experiences, share stories, share book summaries, and learn as much as we can, so that we're not locked into other people's lifestyles, other people's definitions, and other people's view of the world. It's okay not to own a Ferrari, and it's okay, or it's even better, to not own a Ferrari and be a Ferrari, rather than to own a Ferrari and be a middle-aged accountant striving to find purpose and meaning in their lives. Take care, everybody, and we'll chat again. And make the most of your springtime to be the best you possibly can be. And as we said before, don't rely on the car keys. Ciao for now.